fam. It's your boy, Tabasco Sweet.
Yo, it's your other boy, Sriracha Heat. This is Justin with the TwinJitsu Podcast.
We're just starting raw like that,
dude. Raw dog.
Raw dog. And this is Chris with the Joe Rogan Experience.
I'm feeling like a real piece of shit right now.
Why is that?
Because I just weighed myself for the first time in a long time, and I've gained like 15 pounds.
Yeah, well, the other day when I went into Whole Foods, I noticed you were looking a little chubby. And you claimed it was your apron that was bringing out the chubbiness.
Squeezing out the pooch.
Yeah, but I told you, dude, you were looking a little thick, dude.
Yeah, I guess it's appropriate for this topic of this podcast, but I've got to get my shit together.
Yeah. Yes, you do. Yeah, I guess the topic is goals and...
the topic's goals?
Yeah.
Dang it.
What'd you think it was?
I thought it was coals.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Kohl's... what do they call them? Briquettes?
No, I thought you meant like the store.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they have great sales, and my mother-in-law practically lives there.
This is going to mess up my questions, but I think I should be able to fix them and change them on the fly. So you said before this you were taking a shower and you thought of a deep concept.
Not really a deep concept, but when I was in the shower, I was just thinking about goals and, the topic and just about not feeding your past self. Like, I don't know.
We definitely shouldn't do that because we were fat. Our past selves were fat.
Super fat.
The last thing we needed was to be fed.
But basically, at least in my head, I feel like there's 3 versions of myself that live inside my own head. And I don't think it's multiple personality disorder. Basically, there's my past self, my present self, and my future self. And basically just not feeding my past self and only focusing on my present self and my future self. Because a lot of the times, I mean, dude, I think about my past all the time, and it makes me super depressed on just thinking about like binge eating and drinking and smoking cigarettes, and even further back, just all the stupid shit we did as kids. But obviously that's not who I am or who we are today. If we met ourselves 10 years ago,
I'd want to beat myself up, probably.
We would just...
Not for real, but...
No, yes, for real. I would want to beat the shit
Oh, that
out
reminds
of
me of a
myself.
story I have to tell you off the air.
Why's it got to be off the air?
Because it involves someone from our past that we knew that I ran into, and they're a real asshole, a real piece of shit. And I don't know, they probably won't listen to the podcast, but...
Fuck them, dude. Tell it. Who cares? Another thing I was thinking about... I think that the reason people might be drawn to our podcast or might enjoy it is not because we're fucking smart or anything like that. It's because we're honest. Yeah. I think we're pretty honest people. We're pretty open book people, so that didn't make sense how I said it, but you guys know what I mean.
Pretty open book. We don't like to open books, but we're pretty open.
We're a open 1-page book.
Yeah. I can't. I'm not going to say who the person is.
I bet I'll be able to.
I'll whisper it.
Really?
Yeah, dude. Went to a little party. It was a pool party, and someone that I work with, I'd known him for a long time. He threw a little party. That's gonna give it away, but he's awesome. And we've known him for years, had a good mutual friend. And this other person, let's just call him douchebag, was there, and it was cool to see him. Like, I came up and, he was really nice, like just saying what's up, and he kept saying, like, where's Krish? And was asking where you were at, and I talked to him, and then like later on, his fiance, I guess, got stung by a bee or got bit by a dog, one of the dogs there or whatever, on her lip.
Whoa. She either got stung by a bee or bit by a dog.
Well, her lip was swollen because of this, and we were like waiting to get some food, and she was pretty upset, was like crying, and douchebag was just like really drunk already, and it's mind you,
okay,
no, it doesn't excuse it, dude.
All right.
He was just like, what's your deal? Did you get bit by a dog? Did you get stung by, like, what's the deal? What's the deal? And like, wasn't really being an asshole yet, but kind of even the way he was like handling it was weird. And then so he like takes her over to the cooler to get ice, and he's like starts yelling at her, and it's like, suck it up, put some ice on it, like quit making a big deal about it. Like talking down to her, almost like she was a child too. Like he was like, you need to toughen up. It's not a big deal. Toughen up. And then just like later, we sat down to eat food, and he's just like going off about it because she's like she was very upset about that, and was off like whatever away from us. And we sat down, and he's just like complaining about it. He's like, she's always coming to me with her fucking problems. She's being a bitch. And like yelling all this stuff. Like, come on. First off, like, don't talk about anyone like that. Also, it's your fiance. Like, be a little empathetic. And yeah, he was drunk, but that doesn't. I don't think that excuses that behavior at all. And it was just weird, and it sucked because it was like I liked it. I liked this guy from the past, but now after that, I'm like, dude, I can't even like. If I see you again, like I can't be friendly to you because that's not cool. And then I got through this thing where like me and Erin decided to leave out because it was just weird. And we're leaving, and she was like, "Can I have your keys to him, to douchebag?" And he was like, "Not my truck. You're not taking my truck," because she just wanted to sit in the car and like get away for a little bit. And he's like, "You call an Uber. What are you gonna do? I don't want you here if you're gonna act like that," and like all this stuff. I don't want your baby mama drama. And it was like, dude, she's not even, you're making a big deal about it. She just was like upset. And so then we were leaving, and she like walked around away from everybody, and I was like, hey, like, do you want to ride home or whatever? And she was like, no, I'm sorry to do this. I'm sorry, at a pool party I can't. And I'm like, it's not your fault. Like, you're not doing anything. And driving, that was like the first time like I got really mad. Like, not the first time I got really mad, but like since training jiu-jitsu, I think, where I was like, I wanted to say something to him, but I knew that either A, it was going to cause him to want to fight me, which would have been fine because one, he was drunk, and two, I'm not worried about it. But I didn't want to start a fight at this pool party. And then two, I knew that if I said something, he would probably just end up taking it out on her either then or later. And so, but driving home away, like, I was just like, I didn't even talk really. I was so mad. I just wanted to turn around and beat his ass pretty much because of that.
Well, I mean, I don't want to excuse. I guess this can be part of the topic where, you know, past, present, and future. Yeah, he was acting like an asshole. But does that really make him a complete asshole? I mean, you don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to excuse his actions because it's definitely unacceptable, but
yeah,
you don't know.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
I mean, because he was always the super cool guy. Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean,
maybe that's just who he isn't, though.
Yeah, it's very possible.
But anyways, that was kind of off topic. So about goals, what is your favorite section you like to shop at when you go to goals?
You're an idiot. Yeah, you're stupid. I don't even know where to go
Future,
from there.
past, self,
yeah,
present. Not feeding the past.
Yeah, so I would say, as far as like our past and stuff, dude, I have notebooks. I still have them filled with, you know, on a Sunday night when I write down all my goals for, you know, my diet or what I want, like how much weight I want to lose and all that stuff that I never fulfilled. I mean, I wouldn't say I never fulfilled them, but that list was never fulfilled because I did it the wrong way. And this is what I was thinking about in the shower is like, and obviously we're not the first people to say this, but if your goal is to run a marathon, that shouldn't be the goal you focus on your first month. If you don't run it all and your goal is to run a marathon, your goal for the first month should be run a mile
or like walk
each day, or walk a mile each day. You know, and like right now, I'm trying to get back in shape and get ready for a competition. And instead of making my goal, I want to be 200 pounds by this day. I mean, I do have that goal, but every day my goal is I'm going to the gym.
Yeah.
I'm not like, I'm going to go to the gym and run 2 miles and lift these weights. And my goal is just to go to the gym. And I think it's much easier to fulfill a long-term goal if you make small, short-term goals that are obtainable. Because we always reach for the stars for anything we do. And then we only make it to like as hard as high as our hand can reach, and then we're like, well, fuck, I'm never gonna get to the stars, you know?
Yeah. I was gonna say something, but one, like, even dwelling on the past, so like I was saying, I just weighed myself and I'm like 15 pounds heavier than I used to be. I lost muscle, haven't been working out like I was, and in a way it's like even dwelling on the past when I was more in shape and not even thinking about when like I was the past where I was like fat and all that. It's almost difficult too, because it's tough to be at a point and then lose it and then be motivated to go back to it, I guess, because I don't know, like right now, if I were to set goals, like I'd want to do what I was doing then, but that's just not attainable at all. Like, I'm not going to be able to do the amount of push-ups and pull-ups I was doing 2 years ago, but it kind of hurts your ego and like is very demotivating to like start from scratch again, basically. Even though like obviously like I know it's attainable because I've done it, and in a way, a lot of times with like working out and stuff, you can build up to where you were a little easier because of muscle memory and things, but it's very humbling. Just like when people start jiu-jitsu and then quit, a lot of times when people quit for an extended period of time, when they come back,
they're getting tapped by the guy they used to tap all the time.
Yeah, and then they usually quit for good, because it's like, well, I'm never going to be where I was or whatever, and it can be very tough. But yeah, like not living in the past is a big part of that, and just being like, what do I want right now? What can I do right now?
Right now.
Shout out your mom's podcast. Your mom's house.
Yeah, so since you're being honest about your weight, I'll be honest about mine. So I don't know if we've talked about this, but we went to California in March, and I competed at, was it Pan Am's? It wasn't Worlds.
Yeah,
it was
Pan
Pan
Am's
Am's.
is in March.
Yeah. So I was like between 215 and 220.
The lightest you've ever been.
Yeah.
Besides when you were born. But.
Yeah. I actually have a picture of like a month before Pan Am's. One morning I woke up and I was 210. Obviously I was probably dehydrated, but I still have that picture on my phone where I was 210. So we went to California, competed, and then I should backtrack a little bit. I went a year and a little over a year and a half without drinking alcohol, and that's how I lost a ton of weight. That was the biggest change I made in my diet, was just not drinking alcohol. And I went 5 years drinking beer.
6 to 10 beers a night.
Every single 10. I mean, that'd have to be a special occasion.
But like a Tuesday.
Yeah, I was definitely. I mean, there was one point where I would get a 6-pack and a Foster's.
You would get those Bud Light Platinums too, dude.
That was that was at the beginning. But then my palate got more sophisticated, and I
sophisticated.
Yeah, and I upgraded. But so I went that long without drinking, and the goal was I was gonna go a year. I was like, I'm gonna go a year. So I did the year, and I was like, I'm gonna keep going. And then I was like, I'm gonna wait until I got my brown belt, till I have a drink, and then got my brown belt. And I was like, I'm waiting. And then eventually I was like, all right, after I compete, we're on vacation, I'm going to drink. And sure enough, that's what I did. And
I knew this was going to happen.
Dude. Yeah, I did too, secretly. I mean, so after the competition, the next day or 2 days later, we go to a casino, Pachanga. It's the biggest casino in California. It's a super nice place. And before I drank, we hit the casino a little bit, and I won $300 on a slot machine. I was like, oh, it's a perfect night. I was going to spend $300. I already made that back, so I had put $20 in the machine, so I had $300 plus the $280 I was going to spend. So I was like, this is great. So
time to drink.
So I drank, and I drank way too fast and got really sick. And then I didn't drink for until we got back. So a few days I didn't drink again, and then when we got back, I was like, oh, I'm at home. Alex was in town. I was like, my buddy's here. I'm going to drink. And it turned into basically an every night thing for the next, until recently, like 4 months. And I gained, so I went from 215 to 220 to 250. I weighed myself a week ago, and I was 250 pounds. And I mean, it was the worst fucking feeling I've had ever. I mean, I was like, I cannot believe I let myself get back to and I started at 300 pretty much. So I'm almost halfway back to where I was. And the first few days of me getting back on the horse or whatever, it felt like shit, dude. I felt like shit. And over the past, few days recently, I do weigh myself in every morning now, but I'm not dwelling on the fact that I'm almost as fat as I was. I'm focusing on where I know I can be because I've done it before.
Yeah. It's so easy. Like, we're very much creatures of habit, and we're very we're kind of addictive people to a degree.
We're super addictive people.
And in a way, obviously it's a bad thing, but in a way it can be a good thing too, because with the being creatures of habits, and most humans are creatures of habit, but that it's just about creating good habits that you can stick to as opposed to the bad ones. And usually it becomes pretty easy after a while, fairly easy. And same with like having an addictive personality is like for me, I got addicted to Jiu Jitsu, and it can be a very positive thing, but also it can be a bad thing too, to be so addicted to even something that you think is positive, because in a way, eventually that becomes your quote unquote addiction, and it can cause other areas of your life to like lack because you're so all or nothing about that one
which
thing.
Happened to you with Jiu Jitsu. 100%. I mean, you were so dedicated to Jiu Jitsu that everything else fell by the wayside. Is that
my
correct?
Bills, my just like a
music,
social life. I stopped making music, like all sorts of stuff. And that's why now I'm like, I could train more than I do. I've been trying to stick to 3 to 4 days a week, and I've been doing that. Yeah. And I've been doing that, but I could train more, but there's a lot of things I missed out on, I feel like, during those 5 years of training all the time, every day, that like I'm trying to take advantage of now, of like living a life, I guess. So moving forward, I know you got a gym membership. Is that kind of what are your basic goals right now?
Well, I've had a gym membership to Planet Fitness for, like 4 years now. But I was only going like maybe once a month. But I got a gym membership to Prairie Life. One of the main reasons why I got it was to use the sauna. And that may sound crazy, but I've just heard a lot of benefits about the sauna. And so my goal is, until Atlanta which is September 14th and 15th, my goal is to go to the gym every day. And that doesn't mean pushing myself to the fucking limits every single day. It just means showing up at the gym. And like yesterday, I did a lot of other things other than going to the gym, and I knew I had other things coming. So at 10 o'clock in the morning, I went to the gym. I shot some hoops, played some basketball for like 30 minutes by myself, and then hit the sauna for 15 minutes. I also got in the whirlpool for like, I don't know.
Don't get in the whirlpool in there.
Why?
In the locker room.
Why?
Lots of stuff going on in there.
No, dude. I mean, maybe, but
there's a jacuzzi in the indoor pool.
Oh, really?
You can go to, yeah.
Oh. But yeah, I mean, right now my goal is just go to the gym every day. Another goal of mine was I don't have any goals as far as jiu-jitsu goes right now because I've consistently trained 4 days a week for at least 2 or 3 years now. I do want to like study jiu-jitsu more and drill more, but right now I'm focusing on going to the gym every day and not drinking. And my short-term goal for not drinking is I'm going till our birthday, which is 2 weeks away from today. And I can almost guarantee you when I hit that goal on our birthday, I probably won't want to drink on our birthday. So, I mean, I got to get down to, I registered for super heavy for Atlanta. So, I have to get down, in the gi, I have to get down to 222. Which
what do you weigh right now?
240. I weigh 241.
That's in like 2 weeks, right?
No, it's in a month.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, World's Masters or whatever is in 2
That's
weeks.
Next week, yeah.
That's doable.
I mean, people will say you can't lose that much weight that quick, but we're all or nothing people, and I think that I definitely can lose that weight. And a lot of it's water weight, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, just drinking beer every night.
It's definitely not brain weight with you.
Definitely not. Or hair weight.
Yeah.
But yeah. What are some of your
shit.
I mean, I guess losing weight at this point is
I want to get back in shape and just like that's what I kind of need to do is not worry about like my performance and my results of like if I go to the gym. I need to get a gym membership. I have like parallettes and things that I like to do. I can work out with, but I feel like just going to the gym outside of my house, like forcing myself to go is would make me do it more than if I say I'm going to work out at the house. Cause like if I drive to the gym, okay, like I have to go in and do something.
Well, that's what I was going to say is, for people struggling with, jiu-jitsu or going to the gym or whatever, you can even go as far as your goal is not even to work out. Your goal is just to drive to the gym.
Yeah,
and I guarantee you, if you drive to the gym, you will get out of your car and you will go inside. With jiu-jitsu, when you're starting out and you're getting tapped all the time, it can be super depressing, but don't even worry about that. Just show up. And the results will come in time.
In a way, like the past year when I was not training that much, like I would use you. Like if you went to the gym, I was like, okay, I'll go. Not every time, but like you were kind of my encouragement, I guess, in a way. But now we don't have that since we train differently. But like I haven't really had days where I'm like, I'm going to go. And then like closer to the time to go, I'm like, I don't want to go and I don't go. Like even when that first thought of like, I guess I don't really want to go today. I just get my car and drive. Go there.
Well, so on Tuesday, so I don't know how much detail I want to. So I train primarily at Gracie Baja Franklin. But my head professor teaches at Gracie Baja Murfreesboro.
Yeah.
So it's like a 45-minute drive, and over the past month, I'm supposed to be going there at least once a week. And over the past month or so, I 2 days a week I'm like, okay, I'm going, and then I just wouldn't go. I'm like, nah, I don't want to drive. I'll just train in Franklin. And so Tuesday, all day I was like, I'm going, and then about 4:00 rolls around. I'm like, oh, I don't want to go, and I was like watching YouTube videos or whatever, and finally I just stopped, turn my computer off, put on my no-gi stuff, packed everything up, and I got in my car and drove. I got there an hour early for class, but I was like, dude, if I just get in my car, I will go there. So that's what I did. And hopefully I'll continue with that mentality, just getting in the car and going.
Yeah,
and real quick, it was good training. Unfortunately, my professor was not there. He had some personal things he had to take care of, but I got to train with Professor Mike. And we started the class with flow rolling, which I think is a really good warm-up. It gets your body loose, and you're doing jiu-jitsu movements as opposed to like jumping jacks and push-ups and all that stuff. And then instead of just going straight in and teaching a technique, he said, is there anything you guys want to learn? And I said, well, I could always use help with my half guard. So he started out, instead of teaching a straight technique from half guard, he was basically just going over his concepts.
Yeah.
And it was a really, really good class. I enjoyed it a lot.
That's the thing too, is like whether it's working out or jiu-jitsu or anything really, like forcing yourself to write or whatever endeavor it is that you're doing, if you're it's like the book not the Art of War, but the War of Art is a book that Joe Rogan recommends, and I read it a while ago, but it references the lizard brain, the part of your brain that starts to invade your consciousness with negative thoughts about whatever it is you're doing, basically. You like the things of like, oh, I don't want to go, or like whatever, I'm tired, like all that stuff is the lizard brain. But almost always you're never going to regret going.
Never.
You're going to regret not going, which has happened to me multiple times. Like if I wasn't feeling it or whatever and I decide not to go, I just sit there and I'm like, well, fuck, I should have went. Now I feel even worse,
Yeah. I can't think of a single time that I've left the gym or jiu-jitsu or even other things that I don't want to do. I never am like, man, I wish I wouldn't have done that. Never. If you force yourself to do something you don't want to do, almost always you're going to leave and say, man, I'm fucking glad I did it.
And it's almost always the stuff that you don't want to do. Like, yeah, the stuff you don't want to do is the stuff you should be doing.
Yeah.
Combating that lizard brain.
Yeah. And another thing that's helped me this week with my short-term goals is Jocko Willink's book, Discipline Equals Freedom, the Field Manual. I'm like a quarter of a way through the book, and it's one of the easiest books I've ever read, but it's also one of the most influential, at least to me. Obviously, from our previous podcast, I'm not much of a reader, so this book is like a paragraph a page. So to read 2 pages, it takes a minute. And just from those 2 pages, it can really... I know people say there's no such thing as motivation, some people, but at least for me, it really... Yeah, you've never heard that?
No.
There's no such thing as motivation. I want to say it's drive, or I don't know. I don't agree with it. Just 2 pages out of that book will motivate you, and it teaches you how to kill your inner bitch, which everyone has an inner bitch. So,
yeah, I want to read that book when you're done with it.
Yeah, it'll probably take me at least another month to finish. But
how many pages?
It's 200 pages. I'm kidding. But yeah, I'd say let's take a quick little break. We've been going almost 30 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. We'll be back.
All right, we're back.
And we're back.
We decided we're gonna go play hockey here after the podcast. We'll probably shoot a little video, a little extra content for the podcast listeners.
Chaw. Which I'm excited about because
I haven't been.
You haven't played hockey in forever,
Yeah,
and you're still a beginner at it. So it'll be cool to try and help you out. And obviously, I still suck ass at hockey, but it'll be fun showing you our progress and trying to help you out and stuff.
Why don't you talk about what we were talking about on the break?
Dude, I don't want to, man.
We got a little emotional.
Yeah. So this doesn't really have to do with like the topic.
Well, I feel like we kind of we're done on the top. Not done, but
So basically, I mean, I'm sure I feel like you're the same way, but we're really hard on ourselves. And so there's a guy that I train with, super nice guy. He's kind of new to our gym, and he actually listens to the podcast. I'm not going to mention his name, and I'm going to try not to go into a lot of detail just because I feel like it was a private conversation, and I don't want to air everything out there, but so he first got my number from Professor Brian.
Cute.
And one day he texted me. He's like, "Hey man, I got your number from Brian. Hope that's cool." I'm like, "Yeah man, what's up?" And he texted me and he said, "Just sitting at work trying to figure out how I'm going to get my jiu-jitsu as effortless as yours." And of course that made me feel really good. And the other day we were rolling, and after we were done, he was like, "Man, you're so fucking good." And I was like, "Man, I really appreciate that because every day I tell myself I'm a piece of shit." And I shouldn't even say every day. I should say all the fucking time.
Yeah.
And the next day he texted me and said, "Hey, man, I've been thinking a lot about what you said. And I don't know if you were being serious or not." And I text back and I said, I definitely was being serious. Basically I said, there's a lot of things that I regret in my life as far as wasting my time fucking around doing, dumb shit and not focusing on what I want to focus on. And he texted back and just, told me that, he doesn't really know my life, but that that a lot of people, I don't want to say look up to me, but a lot of people like me being around because I'm, funny and personable and because of my jiu-jitsu. And I'm glad I'm not crying right now because when we were talking about it during the break, I started crying bad because I'm an emotional man. But man, it made me feel really fucking good, man. And I would say just the moral of that story is if there's someone out there that is, I don't want to say struggling, but if there's someone out there that you want to give a compliment to, or you want to just tell them what you think about them because you look up to them or whatever, do it, man, because it changed the rest of my day, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, it changed everything about my day, and it just made me think about things a little bit differently about myself, and realizing the effect that I could have on somebody, especially in jiu-jitsu, if I can affect someone in such a way where they want to continue training or they want to get better or whatever, dude, it means the world to me.
I mean, that's I think a big reason why we started this podcast. Like, one, like it helps to have some sense of purpose, and like it's great to have all these goals, like whether it's like to be a world champ or to like be the baddest person on the map. But at the end of the day, that means nothing. Like true purpose is found within like helping other people and motivating other people. And a lot of times, like goals, you can be so selfish. And it's good too sometimes to be selfish, like achieving your goals and be so focused on yourself, especially in jiu-jitsu, like because it's a one-on-one combat. Like you have to be selfish to a degree to like advance your jiu-jitsu and not worry about other people and like all that. But at the end of the day, in a lot of ways, it's very selfless because you, especially as you get higher ranked, like you're there to help other people and to get them better at jiu-jitsu and like pass it on. And the goal should always be that the people below you are better than you were when you were at that spot, you know?
Yeah.
And I know when I worked at the jiu-jitsu school, like, and granted it's, you know, it's all a balance, but like I felt great sometimes when I signed up a ton of students in a month and stuff, but for me, like when I felt the best was when, you know, so-and-so lost 20 pounds and like whatever, got a girlfriend and like is confident, got a job promotion, all because of this positive change they made in their life, which was to start training jiu-jitsu. Or like, yeah, to have them tell you that like, and I'm the same way, like anytime someone compliments me, like people would tell me, you're so good or whatever. And obviously like, it's all relative. Like there's people way, 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 way better than me. But like people compliment me and I don't even hear it. I'm just like, oh yeah, thank you. But in my head, I'm just like, I fucking suck.
Yeah.
Like I ain't shit basically. And I think that's good to have because obviously you don't want to be like, you know, think you're the best in the world.
Feed your ego with that shit. But, man, I was going to say something. Well, I guess two things. One thing, going back to kind of why we started the podcast or whatever, I was texting Dr. Joe after his episode, which was obviously the best episode we've done so far. You know, Dad texted me. I don't know if he texted you.
No, I haven't talked to Dad in a while.
Yeah, he texted me and he said, hey, son, I listened to your podcast with Dr. Joe, and it really inspired me. Real quick, my dad's 54, and he just started nursing school probably 6 months ago or so. It's something that he's wanted to do for a long time, but he just hasn't done it, and he started it. And so he texted me saying that, you know, the episode with Dr. Joe really has inspired him or motivated him to continue on the path of his nursing career. And I was texting Dr. Joe and just, you know, I told him that, and I said, man, it feels so good to, even if we just inspire or motivate one person, it feels so good to put content out there that does something positive, because there's so much shit out there as far as news or clickbait and all that crap that doesn't mean shit and doesn't help anybody. It feels good to know that we're at least helping somebody, you know, or motivating them or whatever. And I think that's the main reason why we're doing this podcast and the motivation to continue doing this podcast. It's not money. Obviously, we make $0 off the podcast. and maybe one day we will, but that's not the point. The point is it's somewhat therapy for us.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's also for other people, you know. The other thing I wanted to say is related to Jocko Willink. I'm trying to think if this was in the book or if it's just from his podcast, because I also listen to his podcasts.
His podcasts.
Do things for your team, you know, like he was in the military, so when he would go work out, he wasn't doing it so he would have a good body, so he would look good. It was so he could perform well on the battlefield for his team. So if you think of that like related to jiu-jitsu is, if anything, show up so your partners have another training partner.
Yeah.
So they have another. I'm trying to think of how to say this. So that they can train with different people, so they can improve their game. If anything, do it for those people. If you don't feel like showing up one day, don't think about yourself. Think about the other people that will benefit from you showing up, because they will. Even if you get tapped 1,000 times, or if you tap them 1,000 times, it's helping them probably more than it's helping yourself.
I like that.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna have to start thinking about that sometimes, especially because like I was saying, jiu-jitsu can be pretty selfish, and like there were many times when I was like a purple belt, where I would maybe be getting ready for a competition or whatever, and I would get frustrated sometimes with like being partnered up with someone who wasn't going to quote unquote give me good training, because I was focused on getting the hardest training I could for the competition. But like, it doesn't matter. Like, I should, instead of focusing on that, be like, okay, I can take this opportunity to help this person, and in turn that's going to help me too. Like, whether
in the long run.
Yeah, whether I got hard training or not, like putting myself and my goals and my needs to the side and like helping someone that's going to mean more than some stupid medal at a tournament for sure.
Well, and in regards to what you're saying as far as like, there's times where I get partnered up with a one stripe white belt, and because they do things, they don't use quote unquote certain techniques, they can get you in a position where you really have to think, because they're not using the techniques that you're used to.
Yeah.
They're unorthodox and they spaz out, and you can get into bad positions because it's not quote unquote jiu-jitsu, I've noticed that a lot recently. Is I'm like, oh shit, he almost passed my guard because I had no fucking clue what he was doing.
And he didn't know what he was doing either.
Yeah, so
Professor Edgy used to say that sometimes. Like, I think there was a specific person, but he was like, they were like a white belt, like hardly trained jiu-jitsu. He was like, I have a harder time sweeping that person than I do Justin sometimes, because he knows what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna, and we're doing jiu-jitsu, and this other person's like doing very unorthodox things, and that can cause you to learn something. And they could do something where you're like, oh, that's like a technique. Like, I haven't really seen that before, but that worked. Like, let me play with what they did, or like,
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to say, I guess just relating to like trying to become a better person, is obviously everybody says this, but if you really think about it, is just surround yourself by the right people, or surround yourself around the right people. If you don't have the right people around you, you're gonna fucking fail, dude. And I just want to say, like, I wouldn't be able to achieve my goals if it wasn't for my wife and you. God damn it, dude. And our friend Alex, who he doesn't live here, but we talk to him. He's always encouraged us to do things that we always talked about doing, like this podcast. And you got to be around positive people who want to see you succeed. And fuck the negativity, dude. Fuck the negative people. Don't give them your time, because your time is too valuable, man. And I think that we're at a point where, other than at work, I don't surround myself with any fucking negative people.
No.
Nobody in my circle tells me I can't or I won't. And that's super important, man. If you have people in your life that say you can't or you won't, fuck them. Don't talk to them, dude.
Yeah.
But work is different, because obviously there's people at work that I work with, or that you work with, I'm sure, that you would never be around if you didn't have to work with them. So you gotta, in those moments, you gotta just fucking ignore those people.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just say too, like I know at some points in my life, like I was probably to a degree an inspiration to you. Like you inspire me every day. Now because we're kind of at different points and like we go back and forth. So I appreciate you.
Were you talking to me or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm talking to, I don't know, the GoPro.
Yeah. Man, I feel like there was something else I wanted to say, but I forgot.
If you start crying again, we're gonna have to.
Dude,
cut
I'm
it.
just emotional.
I mean, dude, I'm crying too. I just like not while I talk because
Yeah.
I don't want to embarrass myself.
Yeah, I mean, I think as far as this episode goes, I think we pretty much achieved what we wanted to achieve as far as what we wanted to talk about, and obviously, thank you to everybody who's been listening, and everyone who tells us in person or in text or over Facebook that they enjoy the podcast, because that keeps us going.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, even if no one said anything, we'd probably still be doing it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I would
just for the therapy, like you said, it's almost like a therapy session every time we get to do it, and we're like getting to articulate things that we might not necessarily talk about just in our day-to-day conversations, especially now that we don't get to see each other all the time. But like even if it's just one person that came up and said, hey, that made me laugh, or hey, I want to lose weight now, or whatever, like that's worth it. One person, like that's worth it to me.
Yeah, 100%.
Because that has a trickle-down effect to not just them, but everyone they're around, or like, you know, so.
Positivity is contagious. Hey, shout out to Natalie Cooley. Her whole thing is be contagious, you know? And obviously she doesn't, it's not, she's referring to positivity. You know, be contagious.
Not like mono.
Not mono or influenza.
Well, it's good to be influenza to people.
Yeah. Yeah. So on that note, hopefully this episode has been influenza to everybody.
We're sponsored by vaccines.
Vaccinizations. Is that how you say it?
What?
I don't know.
We'll have to get Dr. Joe on to
To
clarify.
All right.
All right.
Thank you. Fucking pussy. Make sure you save that file.